A very good morning, students. Today I am going to demonstrate you the organ spleen. This is an abdominal organ. An ipsilateral organ means it is only found on one side in the left hypochondriac region of the upper abdominal cavity. Now, this is a largest lymphoid organ of the body. You must have seen the small lymph nodes, in this section, which were also the lymphoid organ. But this, see the size, it is the largest lymphoid organ. But it is not, will be correct to say that it is only the lymphoid organ, but because it contains the lymphocytic collections in the form of the white pulp, there is a large many lymphocytic collections are there within the spleen, but at the same time there are many arterial sinusoids, at the junction of the arterioles and the venules. Lot of sinusoids are there which forms the red pulp of the spleen. So it is a combination of both lymphoid and the blood, blood sinusoids. So this is better to call this organ as hemolymphoid organ. Better to call it as hemolymphoid organ. Now, because the function of the spleens are of double function, because it is the organ of the blood as well as the organ of the lymphoid. So it, beside providing that of the immunity and the production of the lymphocyte, antibodies, beside it is also acting as a storehouse of the blood, especially of the RBC. It is, since sinusoid contains the phagocytic cell, they destroy the RBC and also the microorganism. So this is a organ which has double functions, double functions. Now let us come first to its features, and I will just tell you the different feature very quickly, and then we will learn of the details of all these features. Now this organ has two ends. Spleen has two ends. This is obliquely placed in our body. One of its end, it has two ends. One of its ends is close to the vertebral column. Say suppose my finger is the median plane, so it is one of its end is close to the median plane, and that's why it is called as the posterior or medial end. The other end is at a lower level, obliquely placed. So this end is a broad, and this is placed just close to the mid-axillary line. It is placed close to the mid-axillary line. So from close to vertebral column to close to the mid-axillary line is the extent of this organ. And that's why this end, which is quite broad, looks like a border. This end is called as the lateral end or the anterior end, because this was posterior, so naturally the other end will be the anterior end. Then this has two borders, so between two ends these are the two borders. I will just put it like that, so that between the two ends you can see two borders. One of the border is here and another border is here. So let us see the border which is called a superior border. This border is the superior border, which is sharp, and here it may show the notches. See this notch here? So whenever you get a notch and a sharp border, that is the superior border. The other border here is rounded border. It is not sharp and will not show the notch. This notch which is seen here is not a real notch. This is because of the compression of the organ when the dead body was there for many months inside the tanks, formalin tank. So these were the two ends and the two borders, superior and inferior border. So between this superior and inferior border, this is the superior and this is inferior border, there are two surfaces. The one of the surface is convex and featureless. completely smooth and convex between superior border and inferior border, and this lies in relation to the concavity of diaphragm, so it becomes convex. So this surface is featureless surface, is called as diaphragmatic surface, while the other surface between the superior border and this inferior border is in relation to viscera, abdominal viscera, and there are impression for this abdominal viscera, so it is called as the visceral surface. Okay, it is called as visceral surface. I will tell you detail about this visceral surface. Just remember that there are two surfaces, a visceral surface and a diaphragmatic. Now if you will see the visceral surface, sometime a third border is also said to be present, which is present here where so many structures are going inside the spleen. And this is the hilum of the spleen, where splenic artery branches, the tributaries of the vein, splenic veins, they are coming out, some lymphatics. Okay, and the sympathetic nerves will be going inside it. So this elongated structure is nothing but the hilum of the spleen, and that's why this border is sometimes called as the intermediate border, where hilum is present. That is the intermediate border. Let us come to some detail, but before I go to the detail, let me tell you its measurement. Now the spleen is around 1 inches in thickness. That means from diaphragmatic to that of the visceral surface, the thickness is more than 1 inches, or little more, say close to 1 inch. Then this is the width of the, if you see between the superior border to that of the inferior border, the width of the spleen is around 3 inches. And if you see the length between the medial and lateral border or that of the posterior and anterior border, it is around 5 inches in length. Okay, 5 inches in length. So the weight of the spleen is around 7 ounces. Now this spleen is obliquely placed in our abdomen. Okay, on the posterior part, the left hypochondriac region, and this is in that its diaphragmatic surface, it lies in relation to the 9th, 10th and the 11th rib. That means the superior border is in relation to the 9th rib, and this border also follow the downwards direction of the rib. Then the inferior border is in relation to that of the 11th rib. So 9th, 10th and 11th rib, spleen lies along with the direction of the 9th, 10th and the 11th ribs. Okay, 11th rib. That's why the posterior end or the medial end is at a higher level, and the anterior or lateral end here is at the lower level, lower and laterally placed. Let us come to more detail about the anterior end. Let us see, this is the anterior end, extending from the margin of superior border to the margin of the posterior border. This broad area is nothing but this is the anterior end or the lateral end. Okay, this is directed in anatomical position. This is directed downwards because it is at a lower level, downwards, forwards and to the left, downwards, forward and to the left. Okay, and this border, this end is in relation to the left colic flexor. Okay, where the transverse colon bends and becomes the descending colon. That end, that part is called as, or that area is called as the colic flexor, left colic flexor. And below this end is also in relation to a peritoneal fold called as the phrenico-colic ligament, which begins from the colon, that is from the flexor to that of the diaphragm. So this is that ligament which supports the kidney from below also. Okay, so this is about the anterior or the lateral end. Okay, let us come to the posterior end. See, this was anterior or lateral end. Now we are on the posterior. This posterior end is a blunt and narrow, but in this specimen it is little wide. So don't get confused. It should be blunt and narrow. Okay. Now this is the close to the upper pole of the kidney. Okay, and this is a medial end. This is, as I said, it is medially end because it is close to the vertebral column also. Now this is a blunt and rounded end, and it is directed upward. It is directed upward, backward and medially towards the vertebral column as compared to the lateral end. Okay, upward. Okay, this is suppose median plane. It is upward, backwards and towards the vertebral column. Now let us come to the borders. Now this border between the posterior end or the medial end and between the lateral or anterior end, this border here which is sharp. Okay, you can feel the sharpness with thumb and finger. Okay, throughout its course. This is a sharp border. Okay, this is a sharp border, right? And this is convex. This will show little convexity toward the upper side, okay, or superiorly. And this sharp border, superior border, separates the two surfaces here. Okay, this is the diaphragmatic surface, which I said is convex and featureless, and this is the visceral surface. Okay, so this will separate the visceral surface from the diaphragmatic surface. Okay. Now on the superior border, it is also identified not only because of its sharp nature but also the presence of notches. Okay, this is only one notch, but there may be two notches present here, and this notch is only present on superior border, not onto the inferior border, not on, which is rounded and blunt. Okay, this is rounded. Okay, this is sharp. This shows the presence of notches. So this border which shows the notch is the superior border. Let us come to the inferior border. This is that rounded inferior border is here. Okay, now this is rounded and this is at the level of the 11th rib. Okay, this also separates the diaphragmatic surface from that of the visceral surface. That part of this surface which is close to the inferior border, this is called as the renal area because it is in relation to the anterior surface of the left kidney. And this which is close to the superior border, this large visceral surface here, concavity here above the hilum or the intermediate border, this is called as the gastric impression, okay, which is in relation to the fundus of the stomach. It is in relation to fundus of the stomach. Okay, so these were the two surfaces, borders, and let us come in detail of the surfaces. There is the rounded surface, featureless surface, convex surface. It is called as the diaphragmatic surface. It is smooth, convex, and it is directed upward, okay, and backward to the left side, directed upward and backward to that of the left side. Now the other surface is the visceral surface. Let us see this surface. The visceral surface, the whole surface is the visceral surface. This impression close to that of the superior border, this impression is the gastric impression. That means stomach, fundus of the stomach is related here, okay. This is between the superior border and between the hilum or the intermediate border. The whole area is related to the stomach. So it is called as gastric impression of the spleen. So always remember that gastric impression is towards the superior border, which is sharp and shows the notches. While the near the posterior border, inferior border, okay, near the inferior border, this impression, which is smaller than the gastric impression, is the renal impression. Okay, because it is in relation to the anterior surface of the kidney, okay, because between the intermediate and the inferior border. Now, then see the lateral end or the anterior end, which is broad, and just below that of the intermediate or the hilum, there is a triangular like structure, this triangular structure, okay, this structure. This is the area which is in relation to the left colic flexor. Hence, this is called as the colic impression, okay. So, this is the colic impression. So, how three organs are related, or three visceras: gastric, renal and colic. Colic is very close to the lateral border, I mean say lateral end, okay. This is close to the lateral end, okay. Now, sometime there may be the tail of the pancreas can come and just touch here, just at the apex of this triangular colic impression here. The apex can come here, and this is called as the tail of pancreas above the colic impression, okay, above the colic here, sometime, not always, okay, above the colic impression. Thus, the tail can also come and gets attached here. So, these are the borders and surfaces of the spleen, okay, and ends, okay, and the ends of the spleen are here. Now, I think this much of the external feature of the spleen is enough. Now, something about this hilum of the spleen as it is present onto the intermediate border. There is the, I mean to say, branches which are going inside are the branches, 5 to 6 branches of the splenic artery, which is a branch from celiac trunk. This will, near the hilum, this splenic artery will break up into 5 to 6 branches which will enter inside the spleen. Similarly, 5 to 6 venous tributaries will come out, and they will form the splenic vein. They will form the, beside this hilum will give passage to the lymphatics, and lymphatics, they are draining the lymph from the capsule, from the trabeculae. They are not going to the white pulp and the red pulp, but they are limited themselves into the trabeculae and to the capsule, from where they will drain the lymph, okay. And this lymph will go to the neighboring lymph node which is present between the spleen and the pancreas, okay. Now then, the nerves which are going in the spleen through the hilum are sympathetic, which will form a plexus and supply to the splenic artery, okay, the muscle coat of the tunica media of the splenic artery. Now, this completes a demonstration onto the spleen. Now, lastly, once if you have understood it, then how to keep this spleen into the anatomical position. Okay, now keep the spleen, since it is in the posterior part, because the lateral end ends at the mid-axillary line, this is the medial end, okay, or posterior end is close to the median plane, that is 5 centimeter away the vertebral column at a higher level. So keep the posterior or medial end at a higher level, lateral end at a lower level, okay, and then the obliquity should be such that where this obliquity, because it is following the obliquity of that of the 9th, 10th and 11th rib, which is in relation to the diaphragmatic surface, not directly, of course, separated by the diaphragm and the pleural cavity, okay, and lung in the upper part. So this is the anatomical position of. So just keep this your spleen on your palm, and then just show it that this is close to the median plane and this is towards the mid-axillary line. The diaphragmatic surface should face backwards and laterally, okay, backwards and laterally and upwards, while the visceral surface should face forwards and little downward. That is the position of the spleen, anatomical position of the spleen. Thank you very much for watching this video.